welcome back to Ghouls Night In, the spooky chat show with your best ghoul friends. I'm Penny Snark.
And I'm Midge Munster.
Happy Halloween!
Happy
Oh my gosh!
Halloween, everybody! We made it!
We made it! Oh my gosh, we were so excited when we realized that we were going to have a podcast episode come out on the very finest day itself,
On the
All
high
Hallows
holy
Eve.
days, yes.
Mm-hmm.
No, very exciting to have it. I mean, well, this is maybe the only time I've ever been thrilled Halloween was on a Tuesday.
Right. I know. Usually it's not a big hit, but you got your ghouls then, so that's pretty
You
cool.
at least get your ghouls.
Hmm.
Well, we didn't
Yeah.
have like a specific topic for this episode. We wanted to kind of have Penny, I believe, said it's our Halloween party.
It is, yes. I did ask for suggestions for things we could do, and there were some very good suggestions about like live pumpkin carving and things like that. We did not get our shit in order to do that, but maybe next year. But we did get a lot of folks who just wanted a chatty Halloween episode. So we hope you'll pull up a cushion, grab a drink, and join us at our little Halloween party.
Yes, get your bowl of candy and blame Midge for
Hmm.
the lack of pumpkin carving video options because
She's a busy ghoul.
yeah, I got off a cruise ship at like 1 a.m. yesterday and I have the plague. So, not the actual plague, thankfully. But if I sound a little different today, that is why we're fighting a pretty nasty sinus infection. Uh,
And yet she is here delivering the goods to you.
I
What a professional.
couldn't miss an opportunity to talk to y'all on Halloween. That's for darn sure.
Yes.
Well, I thought I would kick this off by I don't usually start when we do these kind of episodes. I'm not usually the prompter, so I feel
Hmm.
I'm just rife with power right now.
You are taking control.
um, but I on the way home last night, actually, I listened to the latest episode of our friends Mike and Miranda's podcast by Pumpkin's Light, which if
Ah.
you are all not listening to that yet and you love this podcast, you will definitely enjoy that podcast. They spend,
Hmm.
yeah, each week talking to a different creator of Halloween magic, whether that be artists or musicians or creators like Penny and I who do more kind of Instagram or YouTube related content, or small shop owners, all kinds of people who are investing their lives in the Halloween esqueness of everything. Really fun listen. But they interviewed Drew Rausch, who, if you don't know, is a really amazing artist. He does a lot of kind of comic book style art and has accomplished a lot of amazing things. I loved his episode. It's possibly my favorite I've listened to so far. But they asked him a question about how I mean, they always we did an episode, and
We sure
they
did.
kind of start by asking everybody, where did this love start? But
Yeah.
but Drew's story really enthralled me, and definitely go listen to the episode. I'm not going to spoil it, but it made me want to ask you, Penny, if you have a specific Halloween memory that's the first time you remember being engaged, like truly engaged in Halloween,
Hmm.
not just, oh well, my family went trick-or-treating every year or something, but the moment where the light clicked on.
Ooh, that is a good question. I do actually.
Mm.
I well, I guess not. I don't know if this counts, but this is kind of. I feel like my oldest like first Halloween memory is I would have probably been in fourth or fifth grade, because one of my best friends lived actually just down the street from me, but on a horse farm.
Oh,
So
that's
for
cool.
those who don't know, I grew up in it's like kind of like rural suburbs. So like there were like subdivisions, but then there were also like farms.
It's also like that's the Midwest, baby. Like you
Yes.
drive you drive 15
Yes.
minutes in any one direction outside of a suburb and you're suddenly in farm country.
I know. I know my sister I know got teased a lot in college when she brought friends home and they were like "Is this your country lifestyle?" I was like, "You guys." Uh, s but, my friend had, lived on a horse farm, and she had a Halloween party, and it included, like, a hayride that her dad drove.
Oh,
So, like, they
fun.
had, like, actual, bales of hay that they were gonna use for the horses, and he loaded them all up into, a tractor trailer and drove us around, the property, and I just, like, remember that very clearly and being like, "This is so cool. Like, this is the moment. I'm so
Oh.
into this."
Were you I don't remember if you said this. Were you wearing, like, a costume? Was it time or was it before time?
I was wearing a costume, it it was, a costume that I will not share because, it
It
is
has not
no
aged
longer an
well.
acceptable thing to
Sure.
dress as, um, but I also very clearly remember I was wearing clip-on earrings
Oh, work.
and painful, but I was like, "I gotta suffer for this costume, I have to have these, it's worth it," so
You were like,
it
"I
was kind
am the
of it was kind of a
moment."
whole vibe, and we rode around, and then we watched, I wanna say, like, I don't think it was Beetlejuice, but, a family-friendly spooky film
Oh,
at her house after.
that's the perfect day. A hayride, a
Right?
spooky movie.
What about you, Midge? Did that summon a specific, like, memory for you?
I mean, for some reason, what comes to mind right off the cuff is not necessarily like a fuzzy memory.
Yeah.
It's like a
They can be dark too, or
it
bittersweet.
was like a scary I was the first time I
Oh,
remember being
yeah.
really scared on Halloween, but also now as an adult looking back on that, it's fun, like, in the
Yeah.
moment, it was not.
Mhm.
But there was a woman in our neighborhood growing up. I will say I had the benefit of growing up in like, suburban Midwestern area that, my neighborhood was an excellent trick-or-treat neighborhood.
Nice.
And there were there weren't lots of kids, but there were,
Enough.
enough. And all the people who lived in my neighborhood were really great about catering to the trick or treating aspect.
Yeah.
Um, but there weren't a ton of decorations per se. Everybody always had candy, but very few people decorated outside. My parents were always one of the Halloween houses for sure.
Mhm.
But there was another woman, like, kind of down the way, like, it was off the main road of our subdivision. Um, and she was always putting, like, her whole everything into her yard, and I remember specifically that my parents didn't really care for it because
Yeah.
it was more, like, dark than what my parents ever would have done. It was a cemetery, and she lived in this really cool kind of A-frame style. So I grew up in a mid-century neighborhood it's all 1950s ranches.
Nice.
And so her home was this very cool, like, A-frame wide house, and coming out from that gable there was this huge, like, grim reaper character that, like, had all this cloth that spanned its wings over the full breadth of her
Ooh.
yard, and it was just very spooky. But she was one of these people that her and her husband would have him dress as, like, a scarecrow or whatever and sit outside and wait. And so I have a very distinct memory of going up to their house, and I was scared to walk up to it in general because of all the decor being very, like, extra spooky. But then her husband was dressed as a scarecrow that year, and he, like, stood up and would, like, chase you down the
Ugh,
down the sidewalk.
that is also a classic
Yes.
Midwestern dad Halloween move. I very clearly remember that
Cla-
happening when
cl-
I was trick or treating too.
Classic Scottish cabbage prank, am I right?
Yep,
Uh,
just so cabbagey.
but I remember it freaked, and honestly, what was so funny is when I was thinking about this yesterday, I was like, "Oh my god, this is where my fear of animatronics comes from."
No, yeah.
Because I've never been able to pinpoint why I'm so freaked out by, like, wax figures and things, and I'm like, "It's because that one time, one moved."
Right, it was not a wax
It
figure.
was not, but yeah, that's, like, a fun memory just because, like, again, in the moment it scared me, but now retrospectively, I'm like, "Man, that would be." my house now, like,
Yeah.
she was just really putting everything into making it a full experience, and I'm
Love
30 years old now, and I still remember it. I was probably 6 at the time.
that. Yeah, I am just I'm so impressed with like people who do really elaborate outdoor displays. I've been
Mhm.
really enjoying like driving around through my neighborhood and the surrounding areas and seeing things. And especially like no shade to the inflatables, like those are fun, but like people who put, like really like build something
Right.
for their yard is so cool. I know I have told you this, but actually I haven't told you, don't know the full story.
Bum,
So
bum,
like
bum.
a block over from me is a ginormous Ouija board.
Oh, yeah, you sent me a photo,
Which
but I
is
didn't have
Yeah,
any,
which I
like,
sent you a photo
context.
of. But what I did not know at the time, and I can tell you now, is I think that whole street is doing like a board game theme. Um,
Oh,
because
fun.
there is another house that has operation in the front and like little individual signs for like, pull
What?
the funny bone, pull this. And there is another house that is Clue, flashback to last week's episode.
What?
And there is also shoot, there was a new one today when I just now like drove home from Target like an hour ago. I don't remember what it is, but yeah. So my neighborhood, like in the general area I live in, there's like a special trick or treat thing that the neighborhood association puts on, and
Oh,
like it
fun.
rotates between different zones of the neighborhood, and the streets that I live on are the zone for it this year. So I think people are going like especially big with their decor, which I always admire. And the other thing that I really love, see, now I'm like, what did I tell you this? But I don't know when I would have told you this because
I've
there's no
been
reason this would have.
I've been MIA for a month, so probably
You've
not.
been MIA. I haven't even talked to
Yeah,
you.
who are you?
Um, but there's so the neighborhood that I used to live in, Bayview, there is a big like Nightmare Before Christmas
You did tell
themed
me that, yes.
thing, which I used to live by, and then there's another house in that area that does different things every year. And this year they have like a big The Price is Right with skeletons set up in the yard, and I'll try and find, I know like a local paper like wrote an article about it, so I'll see if I can share it. But my favorite part is on one side there's like the contestants and like a skeleton like game show host,
Mhm.
but on the other side of the yard there's a skeleton sitting in an armchair like he's watching it at
Oh my
home.
gosh, that's so cute.
Isn't that amazing? And I love that. And if I want to think that if I ever live somewhere where I have like my own yard, I want to do something cool out front that makes
That's
people
so
be like,
fun.
this house knows what's up.
When my mom used to work for, the state, we, like, would drive when we would drive to her office, this specific back way, there was a house that their backyard was a large, long kind of, like, hill that came down to the main road,
Hmm.
and they had scarecrows. I think it was 2 of them at first, and they would move them every few days and, like, do
Oh, I love that.
yeah, and we would, like, go by and they'd be, like, tending to the pumpkins, or they'd be, like, raking the leaves or whatever. But then as time went on, they would, it was like, "Oh, the scarecrows had a kid, and now there's 3 scarecrows." And, like, it was, like, a whole thing, and, I mean, she worked there for years, and they did that the whole time. It was so cute. I admire the dedication.
See, now this is the topic of today's episode, is telling you guys about cool cool yards.
Yeah, hey, why
Cuz
not?
they're talking about this has reminded me that there's also this super famous yard like kind of like 40ish minutes outside of my area. There's a very like hilly area,
Mhm.
and it's actually on the way towards like the like fanciest church in the area, so it's very scenic. You get a lot of
Do they
people
have a
driving.
do they have a placard that says, like, "Milwaukee's fanciest church"?
Well, the whole thing is called the Holy Hill area because of the Holy Hill
Oh,
Basilica out
okay.
there, but there is a yard on the way, like, on one of those, like, winding country roads that sets up over 100 skeletons in their yard
Whoa!
every year, and they're always doing crazy stuff. Like, one year, they were all on, like, bicycles,
Oh, that's so
and I think
fun.
there was one that was surfing a couple years ago, so
That
that is
reminded
just
me,
that's the good life.
there's a there's one in my neighborhood right now that Taylor and I just caught a glimpse of it. We were driving, and you know when you see something, but your brain processes it like 2 minutes
Yes.
later? So we were already really far past it, and I just started cackling in the car, and Taylor was like, "What?" And I was like, "Were those skeletons the cast of King of the Hill?" And so we drove back by it later, and they are, and I'm
They
like,
are.
what a funny, weird, like, niche thing to like, or like the Price is Right
Yeah,
thing. It's like, what makes people what's your inspiration that you come up with, like, "I
right.
want it to be
Like, we're
spooky, but I want it to also be a '90s sitcom."
I know the germ of that idea where you're not just like, "Haha, funny," but you're like, "No, I'm gonna put
I'm gonna go
probably
wild.
several hours of work into making this a reality."
Oh, yeah, that
I
one
respect that
that
so
got me.
much.
It was funny. I need to go find my friend Sarah sent me a picture. Apparently, there is, a monster house in Kansas City where people have done,
Ooh.
the big teeth and eyes and stuff on it,
Yeah.
and it's one of the older historical homes over, like, in
Oh, love
Midtown,
that.
so I need to go on a vision quest to find it. Um, I
I
definitely
know,
wanna see that.
I keep thinking probably at some one night this week, I'm just gonna, like, go and drive around with no other plan but to
That's
look at cool houses. I was driving home from D&D last night and getting to see, like, all stuff lit up that I hadn't seen lit up
yeah.
before, and I was just like, "Yes,
That's one of my
it's time."
favorite, like, Halloween week activities. Taylor and I will,
Mhm.
especially so we have the Wrangler, so we'll take, like, the top and doors off the Wrangler, so we're, like, in open air,
Love
and,
it.
if it's cold, we have these, like, lava jackets that keep the heat from the car, like, close to your body, so you're, like,
Ooh.
warm, but it's chilly.
I feel like I need that just driving in my enclosed car in the winter sometimes.
Right. But yeah, we'll go like 2 or 3 days before Halloween and go drive around and see all the decor and stuff, and that's one of my favorite little, like, slow moving traditions, if that makes it like,
Yeah.
something to just slow down and appreciate the season before it's gone.
For sure, just to chill out and enjoy. That hilariously, yard decorations was one of the prompts on
Oh,
this
well, there you
list
go.
of prompts, so I was like, "Hey, perfect." Midge and I are also going through, some of the prompts, that my lovely Caitlin made for our 100th episode live stream because we could not answer all 100 of them
Truly.
live. But this is one that I actually really like, and I'm curious what your answer will be, which is favorite fall scent, be as specific as possible.
Ooh, favorite fall scent. I mean, I I think it's probably just like that's be as specific as possible. Midge is incredibly vague. Um, I feel like it's just like the outside smell during the fall,
Yeah.
like the leaf smell. Like right when the leaves have fallen and then we get like a light fall rain and there's that wet, like crispy leaf smell in the
Mhm.
air. I love that. Um,
See, we are on the same page. I
yeah.
was gonna say that with one more layer on top,
Oh, hit
which
me.
was I was gonna say crispy outside leaf smell with the scent of apple because you're standing outside holding a hot apple cider and
Mm,
sipping it while you're
mhm.
looking at the leaves.
I also it's like Midwest, like wood burning fire stove
Oh,
season.
yes.
So my grandpa had a wood burning stove in his house, so that smell just like takes me to childhood. And so
Mhm.
there's been a lot of people burning wood fires, like wood stove fires specifically recently.
Yeah.
Um, and every time I go out, I'm just like,
Yes. You gotta sniff it all in.
I also have to give
It's
honorable mention to those, like,
yeah.
potpourri spicy things, that whatever the frick it is that they have in craft stores this time of year.
Oh, yeah.
And right
Mhm,
when the sliding doors of like Joanne open and you get hit
mhm. You
with
get the big
like
snootful.
the yeah, but it's also like the crisp of their air conditioning and then immediately like fall smell. Uh
Yes.
that's
Fall
but
smell.
that's, I feel like, almost more of a summer thing to me now because it's
Oh, true, yeah. As soon as you
summertime,
said you were like I'm like, "Why are you imagining air conditioning,
because
Mitch?"
it's like that first scent you get of fall in the
Yeah,
summer,
it
but
is.
then actual fall season, it's the leaves for me. I got to go to a corn maze for the first time in, like, 7 years.
Ooh.
This not this past weekend, but the weekend before, I guess. I had just such a glorious little, this is not a prompt that you asked, but here we are. I had a glorious little fall weekend
How
because
dare you tell me about your nice weekend, Midge? This is a party where you only answer things that are on the prompt list, and we do
we
not have a charming conversation.
we just crossed the word chat out of our show description.
Yes.
We're like a cozy answering show.
Show.
Uh, but I went out to St. Louis to see Andrew and Devin. We went to see the
Yes.
Beetlejuice musical, which is currently on tour. And if you live near a city where they are coming, go buy tickets right now. It was my life has changed.
I wanna see it so
I'm gonna
bad.
drive up. I'm literally gonna drive up to Wisconsin and see it with you again because I want to see it
Okay.
again so bad. Um, I almost this is how good it was. We saw it Saturday night. I was leaving St. Louis Sunday, probably, or I was planning on leaving around like noon. There was a 1 o'clock matinee the next day, and I almost bought a ticket just by myself to go see it
Yeah, just to go
again.
soak it up again.
Yeah, like
Mm.
it's so good. Anyway, that's off topic. Point being, we also went to a pumpkin patch, and they had a corn maze and like a whole, I believe it was called like it's called like the Pumpkin Palace or something, this whole back lot
Ooh.
area that's, mostly for children, but also for midges. And
Yes.
they had like a Tower of Terror that was like a hay bale castle that you could like walk through, but it was completely pitch black inside.
Ooh.
And a corn maze, and I hadn't done a corn maze in so long, and I had so much fun. And there's also a very distinct smell to being in a corn maze,
This is true.
and I
I
was having all
have
kinds of
deep
feelings.
I have corn maze trauma,
Oh,
so I should
no.
probably I need to go back in, like, a corn maze, like, with friends as an adult. I was
Did you
last in
get lost in a corn
corn
maze?
no, I was trapped in a corn maze by my father, who would not let us leave the sesquicentennial Wisconsin corn maze until we had found, like, all of the spots on the map, and I was so tired, and I was very cranky, and and we kept walking past the exit, and he would be like, "We still haven't found this part,"
Oh my
to check
gosh.
off on, like, a passport booklet, and I was just like, "I am never going into one of these ever again."
That sounds like an intense corn maze.
It was, like, cut into the shape of the sesquicentennial logo.
That's the most
I
Wisconsin word I've ever heard.
I don't remember what it is now, but it's, like, your 120th anniversary or
Sure.
something. It was the yeah, it's well, obviously centennial, it's 100 and something if I don't remember specifically anymore, but yeah, so it was, like, a logo that was, like, the shape of Wisconsin with, like, a farm within it, and the corn had been mazed into that,
Oh, wow.
shape. So, yeah, it was very big. It was the kind where you had to take a flag in,
In
so that
case they
you
had to
could
come
wave
search and
it, so they
rescue.
could yeah, if they had to come and cut through or something to rescue you. Uh, so
Wow.
that was a lot.
That is, it's 150th, by the way. I just looked
Oh,
up.
there you go. Thank you.
Sesquicentennial. I've never heard that before. There you go. There's some learning today.
There you go. You learned things on Ghouls Night In. I mean, I was going to ask you what your favorite spooky season memory of this year has been. So you may have jumped me unless there's something else that
Oh,
you would list for that.
spooky season memory. My brain is already like, what have I done this year? Uh,
You've done everything, girl.
I literally have. I think that's the problem. Um, Let me think for a second. Yeah, I
Well, I
mean,
can yeah.
yeah, no, you go.
Yes. Well, so I did have some spooky season hopeful memories that got quashed because it was raining. But I actually had just such a delightful time this past weekend at this very cool house intimate show. This very stunning historic home in Milwaukee where they were hosting Charming Disaster, who is a goth folk band, and it was so much fun. I felt like I was at like a fabulous spooky salon, just like enjoying the music and the vibes. And that was a very lovely time.
Yeah, I saw the photos you posted of that in your stories, and I was like, "That looks like something I want to go to. That looks very fun."
Right. It was so good, and I do I have to give a plug for these folks. They were so good, and they had sung a song about Paris Green,
Hell
and
yes.
she was like, "Oh, this it was introing." Okay, so you would have loved this, Midge. The set was determined by pulling the audience pulling cards from their custom oracle deck
Oh my
in the Celtic
god.
Cross. So she would be like, "This is what's standing in front of us, and this is what's doing whatever." And then they would do a song that was based on that. And so when she was doing the little intro for Paris Green, she was like, "And does anyone know like what gave this green its vibrant color?"
You were like,
And I
"Boy, I
was there
sure
with
do."
Wendy, and me and Wendy both went arsenic. And she was like, "Wow, that's a strong answer." And I was like, I gotta know." So I did tell her that she should listen to our podcast
I
episode
was gonna
about it.
say, and then
So
did
if you're
you
here now, hello, I loved your show. But they also had like a song about sticking pins into a poppet you've made of your lover, and also like a steampunk love song, and one where you think that people think that you're sad because your husband died, but actually you're having great ghost sex, so it's all fine.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say too, you need to plug the merch because our merch has Paris Green on it now, so
It does. You're right.
that's awesome. I'll have to look them up. I would definitely like their music.
You would, yeah. They're very fun.
I love that we both did like Ghouls Night plugging this week because
I know. I felt so brave. I like went digging in my bag and I was like, "Do I still have a sticker? I do have a sticker." Cuz that's in, a casual way
I had
to be like
I had
pins of
one Rogue One, when I was
yes.
somewhere, and I was with Devin and Andrew at Mission Taco. So there's a Ghouls Night sticker. They have like counters and stuff that you can put
Oh
stickers
yeah,
all
yeah, with
over.
stickers.
So yeah, there's
Mhm.
a Ghouls Night sticker in Mission Taco in St. Louis now.
Hell yeah. See, I gotta stick more up. I just like awkwardly give them to people when I'm trying when something that's podcast related
You're like,
comes up in
ah, here.
conversation, and I'm like, I feel sleazy giving you my business card, but if I give you a sticker, that's like I gave you a present.
Yeah, it's
So
fun.
that's fine. It just happens to have my podcast name on it.
I had a really fun interaction when I was on this cruise ship. They were doing their Halloween season, stuff on the ship.
Mhm.
And so there was Halloween trivia, but I didn't know that. So I ended up meeting the guy, David, who was running it, like later in the crew kitchen. And he was like, "Oh, you should have come." And I was like, "I didn't know it was happening." And he was like, "Well, do you want to do it right now?" So he just like quizzed me while Richie and I like ate our food, and it was so fun. And
How did you
oh,
do?
I smashed it. I was like, honestly,
Hell yeah, you
I'm
did.
honestly glad I wasn't there because I would have been that person,
Right. I
like
was gonna say, I'm like, you can't just invite Midge Munster to play Halloween trivia with the normies.
the
Like
way I was answering the questions before he had even finished the whole. He was like, in Halloween, Michael Myers' mask. I was like, William Shatner, and he was like, yeah. um, but that was super fun. But anyway, so I was talking about how my weird love language is like, tell me all the weird facts you know. And then I was
Yes.
like, it's actually like all my podcast is. And then I was sitting with like 5 people and they were like, your podcast? And I was like, everybody get out your phones.
Sure.
So,
Rules night in.
and my new friend Sasha was very specifically interested in your Houdini episode. So I
Ooh,
hope that she gets to listen to that one. But yeah,
excellent.
David, Ryan, Sasha, if any of you are listening to Ghouls Night, welcome.
Welcome. Welcome aboard.
Welcome aboard. Woo woo.
I hope this isn't the first episode you listen to because it's kind of a weird one.
No, it's fun. This is a good get to know us.
This
Um,
is true. That's very fair.
I did. I'm stupid. My favorite spooky season thing so far was that I went to Sleepy Hollow.
Oh, yes. I thought you were saying that your favorite
Was
spooky
that?
thing was doing Halloween
I'm
trivia in
not
the
gonna
group.
lie.
It just
That was like a highlight of
I
my weekend.
like it
But
sounded it I wasn't like, "What?" I was like, "Yeah, yeah, that
you were
sounds
like,
like
work,
pretty sweet
bitch.
time."
Yeah. No,
Hell
but what was
yes.
so crazy is that
Nominating the trivia.
I was talking to this guy David, and I was like, "Yeah, I just went to like Sleepy Hollow," and
Yeah.
"What? That's where?" He's like, "I'm from Terrytown." I was like, "What?"
What?
So small world, it's freaking cool.
I love that. That's
Yeah, him and his
delightful.
wife just bought a house in Terrytown like a year ago, which is so cool.
Nice.
But yeah, Sleepy Hollow was amazing. Getting to do the like um cemetery tour was probably my favorite, my most like spooky like feelings I've had so
Mhm.
far this season. We did the late night lantern tour. And
Nice. Yeah, that
so
looked really cool.
yeah, so you just get to wander. I mean, you're with a guide obviously, but you get to wander the cemetery at night. And I definitely I don't know if I already said this on the pod or not, but I definitely had a moment of like, I get why people in old times thought they saw ghosts and shit all the time, because
Yeah.
lantern light will play the craziest tricks on your
Woof.
eyes. But that was fun though, because I was like, I kept having a moment of like,
Yeah,
what was
you're
that?
feeling
Ooh, what
it.
was that?
Mhm. You're having the true experience. You should have brought some cabbage.
I know. Bianca let me down. She didn't bring any cabbage with her from her local grocer.
Come on, Bianca. If I come out there, I want some
You better
cabbage.
bring me some cabbage, girl.
Mhm.
Well, I mean, we're recording this before.
Yes.
So we're coming up on Halloween. It is about to, I guess, technically for us,
It has just
it has
begun.
just begun. So it's Halloween. What do you have big plans?
I
What are
do
you doing?
actually. So on the Friday of Halloween, so this past Friday for you listeners, I am going to see Scream in theaters.
Ooh, the OG.
The OG,
Fun. Oh, that
being
sounds awesome.
shown at our big one of our historic local movie theaters. So very excited about that. And then, it'll be up for everyone then. So I am going to Dracula at the Milwaukee
Yeah.
Ballet on Saturday, and I have at this point made an evening gown to wear to
You
it.
finished it.
I am just now. As we are recording, I just need to hem it,
Oh
and
my
then
god,
figure out
yay!
my lace cape slash drapery. But the dress itself is done right now.
Amazing. So I was there for the inception of this idea when
You
Penny was like,
were.
"I think I'm gonna take on another project and
Hey.
make a gown to wear to Dracula." So I'm excited that you did it. I can't wait to see it.
Yes, I'm very excited. It is looking very good, and by the time that you are listening to this, hopefully you have seen a cool picture of the dress.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm really excited to see Dracula. This is a version that was created by the Milwaukee Ballet like a long time ago. Um, that they bring back every so often, and I had intended to go see it in like 2018 or 2019, I think, and just didn't end up making it. So I'm excited to have it back, and it's actually going to be the final performance of the principal cast member who plays Dracula. He's retiring from the
Oh
company,
wow.
so that's extra special. So I'm really excited. I have a new pair of fangs that I have to fit this week.
Oh, that's awesome. Our ballet is doing Jekyll and Hyde right now, and I'm
Ooh, that's
hoping maybe
cool.
I can sneak in a performance sometime this week if my crud clears up.
Yeah, I hope so. What about you? I mean, obviously you're sick, so that puts a damper on some of your plans probably.
Yeah, no, I think I'm gonna be good though. My first like quote big plan isn't till Thursday, so
Alright, yeah,
I'm
you
gonna
got
go
time.
see my electric Poe that I go to every year. We do
Ah,
a really cool thing through the Coterie Theater in Kansas City. Does a live reading, I guess, of Poe's poetry, but it's like very theatrical. Our actor Hollis Will Hoyt that does our Poe is phenomenal. He's just like
that sounds
immaculate,
so cool.
and they do it live in Union Cemetery, which
Mm,
is the cemetery you've seen in many of my photos through the years. It's my favorite historic cemetery in Kansas City. So they do it live right on the like receiving vault, and they have an electric guitarist that like kind of free musics over the poetry, and it's so
that's
freaking
so
sick.
cool.
I
Love that.
and I'm taking two electric Poe virgins to the show, so
Ah,
I'm gonna indoctrinate my friends into the electric
oh,
Poe cult.
that's so cool. So
Really excited.
some maybe next year we can go.
Yes, you would love it. That's I told my friend Anne, I was like, all I need, feel like all I need to like sell you is electric guitarist and an executioner's hood. And she was like, done, buy me
Done.
tickets.
Sold. Love it.
So we're gonna do that on Thursday. And then she's a jet setter. She's a runner. She's a track star. I'm going back to St. Louis on Saturday for a Halloween party, and I'm really excited because I have not been to a Halloween party that I have not hosted in like 10 years.
Yes.
So I'm gonna go to an actual, and apparently this one that Andrew Devon's friends throw is like a real banger.
Hell
Um,
yeah.
and that's where all, I guess, you guys know now by this point, you should have seen
Yes.
pictures that we're doing the monster cereals. So I'm
Ah,
doing Bride of Frankenberry, and Devon's going to be Fruit Brute, and Andrew is Blueberry. So it's going to be
nice.
really cute and fun. I'm excited to just like enjoy Halloween and not be like
Yeah.
doing so much on my end and just go like I'm gonna go suck the life out of other people's parties
Hell
to
yeah.
sustain me for another year.
Mm, so good.
What about are you well, I guess where you live, because you're upstairs, you don't probably like get trick-or-treaters, right?
Yeah, so unfortunately, if the night of Dracula is the night that the big like trick or treat event
Oh,
is,
cool. Is that on Halloween?
it's on this Saturday.
Oh, are you guys one of those cities that does it the Saturday
E
before Halloween?
it girl, every single neighborhood is different. It's so confusing. I promise you there will still be children wandering around on the 31st
But you
because
have
there
to
are
like
always a
be
few
prepared on the
there are
Saturday
always a few
before?
strays. But it's very much the thing in my area to stand on your porch
Oh, cute.
and give out candy. So it's like it doesn't seem like there's a lot of doorbell ringing, at least in the neighborhoods I've lived in
Mhm.
as an adult. So you really kind of have to be like committed to like sitting outside for the time of trick or treating.
Sure.
So since I will be out, I won't be able to participate this year. But there is a good there was a fair amount of kids that I saw coming around last year when that we didn't have like the special trick or treat going on here.
Nice. I'll definitely I'll definitely be out there giving the children the candies.
Yes. What are you do you have a special handing out outfit or
I
costume or
don't
do you mix it up?
know. I haven't decided yet if I'm gonna redo Bride of Frankenberry on
Mhm.
Halloween also, if I want to do something different. I have like my, Sleepy Hollow stuff up in my yard, so I might wear my little Katrina dress and
Yeah,
just kind
that'd
of
be super cute.
maybe make it a little dark and give myself like a throat cut, like my head's been half cut off.
Ooh.
Make
I'm
Taylor
into
make
it.
Taylor dress up as the horseman at the last minute. I'm sure he'd love that.
Yes, I I have a D&D session the day before Halloween, and I was already like, "Costume session?"
Oh my
Question
god.
mark, question mark, question mark. So, I'm sure I will be wearing a costume. We'll see if anybody else in my group does.
It is my dream. I tell my DM this all the time. It is my dream for us to do a session where we all come in cosplay as our character.
Yes. So that's
Uh,
what I'm trying to decide. I'm gonna ask
yes.
if we're doing the character thing or if we're just doing
General costume.
general spooky, or if everyone is like, "No, Penny, we are not dressing up as anything. You are the only one who wants to dress up," which is possible.
Y'all are
Um,
role players. Get with it.
I
What do
know,
you mean you
I
don't want to
know.
dress up? You play pretend every week.
I'll try that argument and see how we do.
I'm gonna join your party because you see. It
Hell
sounds
yeah.
like you need another
I
voice
need
of
backup,
reason. Yeah,
reinforcements.
exactly. uh,
Oh, man.
I can't
Alright, well,
believe it's time.
it's time. It's here. I hope that everybody out there is enjoying the holiday. If you are listening to this early in the day, I hope you have fun things yet to come. And I didn't pick out a specific review today, but I thought that maybe we could just say thank you again to all of our listeners and everyone who's left reviews. It just absolutely makes my day so much brighter and spookier, reading your kind words, and I really appreciate it.
Yes, we are so thankful for another full spooky. I like how I'm talking like it's the end of 2023 because I'm like,
I
well,
know.
thanks for another great year, guys. Like,
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if you are new to the podcast, we do not stop in October.
certainly
We
not.
keep it spooky all year round. So certainly stay tuned to this podcast dial to keep hearing weird history and spooky shit every Tuesday all year long.
Yes, amen.
Amen. Well, if you want to keep in touch with us and see what the podcast is up to, you can find us on Instagram at Ghouls Night in Pod. And if you are looking for me and my Dracula dress, you can find me at Penny Snark.
And if you're looking for me in a Frankenberry wig, you can find that at Midge Munster.
And until next time,
Goodbye.
goodbye. Happy Halloween.